Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the latest episode of the Hard Compound Live. Very happy Halloween to everyone. Hope you've had a fun, spooky day or are having one. For those of you who don't know, my name's Rich and I run and operate the Hard Compound. We're a one-stop shop for all things motorsport. 4 wheels, 2 wheels, open wheels, closed wheels. We try and cover the lot, whether it be F1, IndyCar, NASCAR, touring cars, World Superbikes, British Superbikes. Anything we can check a stick at, really. And we cover that by putting out news articles, race reviews, race previews. We do throwbacks, and we support the best young drivers and riders online via social media. So you may have gathered right now that we do live interviews as well. We've spoken to a vast variety of guests from the British Touring Car Championship right through to IndyCar, XF1 drivers, and riders from the two-wheel world as well. We've from the touring car world, we've spoken to the likes of Andy Prio, Tom Coronel, Gabriele Tarquini. We've spoken with Rickard Rydell. We've spoken with Steve Soper, John Cleland, Dick Bennett, who's now the boss of West Surrey Racing. And he's responsible for launching the career of Ayrton Senna, Mika Hakkinen, Eddie Irvine, Rubens Barrichello, and the like. From the two-wheel world, just last week, we spoke with Christian Idden. We've spoken with Bjorn Esmond and Shane Byrne, six-time British Superbike champion. Going back a bit further in time, we've spoken with the likes of like Matt Neal from the touring cars and the World Touring Cars. We've had a chat with Derek Warwick, Stefan Johansson, David Brabham. We've spoken to like Willie T. Rood, Danny Sullivan, Ari Lyondike, J.R. Hildebrand. We've spoken to Alex Caffey, and we've spoken with Mario Andretti as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So all of those interviews are on our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube channels, both live and saved. So if you want to go and check those out, then please do. But don't do it just yet, because we have got a fantastic live guest for you this evening. We don't often get reigning champions. In fact, I think our guest tonight is the first reigning champion we've had on. And he's the reigning champion of one of the biggest single-seat series in the world, and certainly the biggest one in North America. He's had a very long day. He's flown in from Indianapolis to New York, and he's now in Madrid. So we're not going to keep him too long this evening. We're going to rattle through as quickly as we can. But very, very excited for this chat this evening. So please join me in welcoming the 2021 IndyCar champion, Mr. Alex Palou.
Hey there, how you doing?
I'm very well, Mr. Palou. How are you?
I'm good as well. Yeah, as you said, a bit tired, a bit more than usually, but I'm good. I'm super happy and proud of everything that I've been through this year, and especially since we won the championship. I've been having to do lots of really nice and interesting activities, and yeah, super happy.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Obviously, as I said, we don't want to keep you too long because we said you've had a long day, but it's been one heck of a year for you, which we're going to come to very soon. First, I just want to say thank you very much for sparing your time to come and have a chat with us. As I said, I think you're the first reigning champion we've had on, and and to have the IndyCar champion on. To be honest, I'm quite surprised, but it's absolutely fantastic to have you on. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, I remember you. We started speaking, I think, at Portland, where we were not champions still. We were just fighting for the championship, and yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, obviously, I did say this off camera, and I'm always impartial, as are all the guys at the Hard Compound. But we must admit, when you agreed to come on and have a chat, we did start sort of pulling for you. So we thought it would be great to have you on, and what a fantastic end to the season. But we're going to come to that, very shortly. Just want to say hello to everyone who's tuning in so far, to the guys in the comments. So we've got Dave Chambers, Carol Reed, Thomas Day, Colin Hart, and a few others. If you have any questions, do pop them in, and we'll try and work them into the chat this evening, or just have a chat amongst yourselves. It's all good. We can all get involved. So So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we're going to crack on right now. What we tend to do is we'll have a run through your career, but we try and do it in a casual way, not too stuffy. No one needs that at this time of night. Firstly, last year was obviously very difficult for all of us with COVID, particularly difficult for you because you just got the move into IndyCar again, which we'll come to shortly. But how did it affect what you did last year?
Yeah, affected everybody. Affected me because it was my first year in IndyCar. Didn't know any track, didn't know the series, and didn't know how to race on oval. So for me, testing was really valuable, and we got like almost no testing. So it was hard. I had to spend like my preseason lockdown in Spain, so I couldn't really train or do anything like just body fitness. I mean, and then we went through the first race. It was an oval, had no practice, almost directly to qualifying, and yeah, I had some struggles. Didn't really see my family as everybody in the world, I assume. But it was okay because we got the opportunity to drive for Chip Ganassi Racing this year, so it was worth
Yeah,
it.
it was worth going through it. Going through some pain last year for this year, for sure. Obviously, it's great now. We've got the fans are returning, which is excellent. Obviously, I think you guys over in the States, or the guys in the States, were a little bit ahead of us back here in Europe. We only went back. I think the fans only went back trackside for the British Grand Prix. I think was the first big one back in July, which me and a couple of guys from the hard compound were fortunate enough to go to, and it was just fantastic to have the fans back. As a driver, uh, does it make a huge difference having
Yeah,
the
for
fans?
sure. I think motorsport, it's really cool as a sport. But we get a different energy when the fans are there and they cheer for us and they just support you since free practice, since the first day you arrive at the track, and then they pull everybody at the team until race day. So yeah, I think it's a really important thing for us. I think we were really fortunate in IndyCar to have fans quite early compared to other championships and series. So yeah, it's been good. I think the last end of the season, I think half end of the season, we had like almost full crowds every track.
Yeah, which is excellent. Which is what we all want to see. Those of us from both sides of the fence, um, and yeah, let's hope that we're through the worst of it, and we can all get back trackside properly next year.
Yeah.
Um, so, if I may, and again, we're not going to spend too long here this evening, but I just want to take it right back to the start and your sort of early life and how you got into motorsport. You're from just outside Barcelona, um, and you were born in 1997. I was 16, which is a terrifying thought. When did you first become interested in motor racing?
Yeah, so there's nobody in my family that was into racing before. We just started when I was 5, and it was because there was a small track, rental go-kart track in my town, and I would see these kids or these people just doing laps during the day and going to school. I would see them doing laps, so I asked my parents if I could do some laps, and they said yes. We tried. That was too short, so I couldn't really fit to the pedals. So yeah,
Really?
all my family got together, and for my 5th birthday, they got me a really used and small go kart.
Oh wow! So everyone sort of pitched in and bought that
Yeah,
for you, and just so because you mentioned, I guess you just couldn't turn up at the track and race because of your height, I suppose.
yeah,
Wow, that's cool. That's no, it's great that because we always talk on here about needing sponsorship or backing or just help from people, and it's amazing that even at age 5, people could see that you really wanted to do it, and you had that little push from the family, which is which is vitally important, isn't it?
yeah. It is.
Yeah, fantastic. So first time you went karting properly in your kart, I mean, was it ever in your mind that you thought you could turn it into like a full-time career where you could earn money and make a living out of it, or was it just purely for fun?
I mean, it was not purely for fun. That was what I wanted to do as a living, but it was not to, let's say, to go to a car racing. Like I didn't have in mind to do single seaters or GTs or anything like that because I thought I couldn't really get there because we didn't have sponsorships or yeah, my family was not capable of getting me there. So for me, go karting, the target was to try and be a professional go kart racer there, which there's a lot of guys there, and it's still difficult, and you can make a living out of it. So yeah, that was the goal. We made it because I was able to drive for CRG factory team. I think back in 2011 or 12, my first year. But then I got the opportunity to drive single seaters.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Wow. Just going back to the karting side of things, obviously you worked your way up through various series, and I've just got some notes so that you won five karting championships in Spain. Do correct me if I'm wrong. But obviously, when you start winning championships and you start getting more confident, and I guess does your mind then start thinking towards, right, how far can I go with this? Can I get into various can I get into other teams further up the ladder, things like that? Did Was that when your mind started going towards making a career out of this?
Well, I think everything came together. Like I was growing up, and once you grow up, you can get to the higher category in go kart, and then you can get to deal with the factory. So it was all coming at the same time while we were getting results. So no, I was just happy there, and I was happy winning races and learning because I had to learn new series, new categories inside go kart. So yeah, I didn't really think, okay, now that I won three, two, or four Spanish championships, or been up there in the world championships, I'm gonna get the deal somewhere else, a part of go karting. So yeah, that was just a present that came.
Yeah, just the way it was. Cool. Just seen a couple of questions regarding IndyCar and the future and everything from Billy Edgerton, Michael Skeet, and Craig Homer. We're going to come to those very soon, guys. Something that I do want to touch on, because we often hear that young drivers struggle with getting started or progressing or things like that. We spoke to J.I. Hildebrand, and he thought that the US system was a lot better. If you win a championship, you progress regardless of funding or anything like that. Something that appears to be quite a big part of your story, I suppose, um, was being accepted into the like a high performance center for like athletes in Barcelona, and it was almost sort of like going to college. Did you live there, and how did all that come about?
Yeah, I was living there, and that was just a program that the, let's say, the federation, the Spanish federation, wanted to help the drivers, just to try and yeah, just give psychiatrists and psychologists and to be able to study and train and just to have all the tools you need to be a professional athlete or driver. So yeah, that was quite fun. I was living there for 3 or 4 years, and that helped me to just know what I needed for racing.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, I think that's great because, as far as I'm aware, we don't have that here in the UK. I could be wrong. If anyone wants to correct me, do feel free. I just think that that's a great thing to have. I mean, and obviously that's just not limited to motor racing; it's to all sports, isn't it? And I think it probably a reason that those kind of places are the reason that we have so many good like young like Spanish racing drivers, and obviously the guys on two wheels as well. Obviously Spain's known for just churning out fantastic bike races, and I just think that, that kind of that kind of a setup, that kind of a program, has just it can only be a benefit, can't it, to young racers coming through.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's more they started with racing. I think racing it's not so important to be so fit to like physically to be well fit and mentally. I think it's really important, but not physically. And they think about those programs that like that high performance center for athletes, that the swimming athletes, the track and field and stuff like that. But I think it was good for us. I think it was 3 or 4 drivers that we had the opportunity to learn from them and to improve ourselves.
Yeah, fantastic. No, and we like that. We need more. We need more programs like that in the world, because this motorsport game's never going to be cheap, is it? So we
Sure not.
need all the
Yeah.
help we can get. Just moving forward, going back onto track. You were the WSK Euro Series champion in 2012. Obviously, a great feeling. I've got in the research, I saw that you came second in the European Championship to a guy called George Russell. Now, obviously being British, we know all about him. Just a few words on George. I mean, did you see that he was a very talented guy back then? And obviously, he's gone on to, he's going to be in Mercedes next year. But even at that kind of young age, 9 years ago, did you think, cool, he's quick?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was that era was quite good. It was Russell, Palou, which is a third driver in Alpha now, and Ocon. Albon was just one step higher, Leclerc. So it was quite a good era, I think. So yeah, obviously, once you fight with a guy and he beats you or he's always there, you know that he's gonna be good, and he did a good job to get that seat for next year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be. I think one of the talking points is he going to be allowed to challenge Lewis Hamilton next year? Everyone's saying, is he going to beat him? Is he not? Who knows? I think that's one for Mercedes.
They have to wait.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've gone from karting. You got a single-seater car test. Was this around 2011, 2012? I think it was, or 13. How did that come about? Because that was your first experience of racing a car, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I got I won the Spanish championship in go-karts, and they had like this bonus that you could use some money to test single seater. So I got that, and then I got a call from Adrian Campos, former F1 driver. And yeah, they just allowed me to test for them in the F3 car, and from that test we did 3 years together.
Wow, excellent. Yeah, so the test obviously went quite well.
Yeah.
So just moving on, you went to the Euro Formula Open Championship again with Campos, I guess, on the back of the test. And again, from the research, I've seen that you made your debut at the Nürburgring, which is, as we know, it's a fantastic circuit, whether it's the Nordschleife or just the Grand Prix circuit. And you took a pole, a fastest lap, and the race win on your debut. It's not too bad.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was a good debut. Yeah, we just had a good weekend. We were fast and we were able to test there before. So yeah, from there we went on to having a good year and finishing third in the championship, I think.
Yeah. Just was it a surprise, that first race? Did you think, oh wow, I didn't think we'd be this competitive, or because you tested there before?
I mean, we
Were
tested
you
there,
confident?
and we were testing in the winter, so we knew we were fast, but you have to do it once you're at track, so it's always tough. So it was a surprise to get it that right on the first weekend, but yeah, we knew we had a good team to try and fight for the championship.
No, fantastic. Again, I've seen you took another win at the Hungaroring, and obviously you started with a win, and you ended the season with a win at your home track, I guess, at the Circuit de Barcelona, the Circuit de Catalunya. How did that feel doing that at home, right at the end of the season? It must have been fantastic doing it.
Yeah, it was amazing. I remember.
Just down the road from your home.
Yeah, I had my friends there, all my family there, so it was great. And yeah, it's always good to have a good result at the last race of the season, so you can carry that positive energy into that off season.
Yeah, fantastic, excellent. Excuse me. Sorry. So that was what, 2014. 2015, you moved to the GP3 Championship. Did you have any expectations for that year, or was it just a case of let's see how we go?
I mean, it's never a case of let's see how we go. You always want
Sure.
to win, and I was in a position where I had only 1 year contract. So if I didn't do the job, I wouldn't get a ride for the following year. So,
Right.
so yeah, it was hard. It was a bad year. I still got an opportunity to do 2016 GP3, and it was a bad year as well. So
Mm.
yeah, that didn't really work out.
Yeah, I mean, was it a frustration, obviously, having moved up and then again, it not really working out? Obviously, we knew that Esteban Ocon won the title in 15. But you had in 2016, you had a second place at Silverstone, which is obviously not too far up the road from me, um, which is great. What were your thoughts? Obviously, you said it was a disappointing couple of years, but what were your thoughts on Silverstone? Was it
I
something that?
love it. I think it's an amazing track. I think I don't really like the stuff about track limits. I think I got too much used to the American way of like not being able to do track limits, and I remember it's always a big chaos on track limits there. But yeah, I like the track. I think with those high speed corners, it's an amazing track. I think it's top three, top five in the world of racetracks. So
Oh, that's good to hear because people over here they don't seem to like Silverstone. It's mainly the spectators. I think they think the fences are too high, but I'd rather have a high fence than a wheel flying towards me. But
I'm sure, yeah,
that's just me. But yeah, fantastic circuit, especially there's Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel. That high speed bit, it
yeah,
just looks fun. So you guys must have great fun driving it.
it is.
Yeah. Just before we move on, just a few words on Adrian Campos. Obviously, we lost. Yeah, we very sadly lost him earlier this year. I remember him from when I was a kid driving for Minardi. Just a few words on him. He's a huge loss, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure. Especially, I think for all the motorsport, but especially for Spanish motorsport, and then for me personally, that was the guy that gave me the opportunity to go to single seaters and to be here today. So yeah, for me it was not easy.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Certainly missed. He's done a lot for racing in Spain. That's for sure. Um, 2017, you moved to Japan. I'm guessing you were around age 19, 20. Kind of a that's kind of a big move when you're young. How did that come about, and was it a bit of a culture shock when you got there?
It was just because I didn't had any other opportunities in Europe, so that was the only thing I could drive, and I was happy to go there and learn new cultures. And personally, I thought it was a cool place to go and to live there for at least a year, and it was fun. So yeah, we had a good year there too.
Yeah, excellent. No, it's good. Again, I've seen that you took third overall, took 3 wins out there, and you were the only European, so you were flying the
Yeah,
flag for Europe. So, but no, it's good. I mean, we've spoken to a few drivers who have raced out in Japan at various times in their life. We spoke with like Tom Coronel, the touring car legend and social media legend now these days. And he had a great time out there. We spoke to Rickard Rydell from the World Touring Cars, Gabriele Tarquini, and they've all said that it was one of the most enjoyable times of their life was racing out in Japan, just because of how things are set up. And obviously, we all know that you've got Honda and Yamaha and Suzuki and Kawasaki, and they're all out there. It's a
yeah.
huge motorsport place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's huge, and the fans know it, and the factories they spend and they invest a lot on motorsport and young drivers. So it's an amazing place to spend some of your learning career or your career. I would be happy to spend my career there.
Yeah. Wow. Excellent. And it's also we're talking about like Suzuka and Fuji. They're two tracks that are high on my bucket list to visit. I just love to go out there and watch some
Yeah,
amazing circuits. So you had a great time in Japan, third overall. 2018, you came back to Europe with the Hitch Bullfrog GP team, Formula 3. Um, were you happy with that year? Because you said you came seventh overall. Was it very different to what you've been doing in Japan?
it was a bit different, not crazy different, but I couldn't really stay in Japan because I had a contract for. 2019 to do Super Formula, but not for 2018. So I had to stay awake and do something. I didn't really want to do 2 years in Japan F3. So yeah, I got the opportunity to do more races in Europe, and I think it was 30 races a year that F3 that year, because we used to do 3 races every weekend, so that was good for driving. And yeah, the result at the end of the year was not great. I mean, we got some wins and some podiums, but it was still seventh. And then yeah, I was ready to go back to Japan.
Yeah, and as you say, you went back to Japan for the Super GT with like McLaren Customer Racing. Now, when I found that out, because I must admit I didn't know that to begin with, it was with McLaren Customer Racing. Is there any link to the McLaren F1 team and everything on that side? Because the first thing that popped into my head was McLaren. um,
No, so it
is it
was
just a
when I was there. I used to do Super Formula, which was with Honda and a private team, and then Super GT, which was with McLaren. But it was just a customer team.
right?
We would just race with the McLarens, which was the first year they would use the 720S, and it was quite a nice car to drive. But yeah, it had nothing to do with McLaren factory, let's say.
No, I did kind of. That's what I assumed, but I thought I've got to ask. Yeah, because you're going to know. Obviously, the Super GT, because there was the Super GT and the Super Formula, wasn't it? It was the mix of the two. Super GT, I think you touched on, was a tough year, but the Super Formula was was obviously far more successful for you. You took a win at Fuji, which I mentioned. That's an amazing circuit. Obviously, it's big in F1 history because of 1976 and all that. You came third overall, but you suffered some misfortune at Suzuka. I hate to ask, but what actually happened there?
So it was the last race of the season. I had to qualify on pole and win the race to win the championship. If I did that, I didn't have to worry about anybody else. I just knew I would be a champion. So we got the pole. We get to the first pit stop, running first, and we go out, and we were good. I think we had like 5 seconds of advantage, but then we got a mechanical failure, and we couldn't finish that race. So yeah, we finished third in the championship, which was a shame, but at the same time, I think it was maybe not the year I had to win. So I think there's years like this year for me that everything went well and it worked out, and there are some other years that even if you do your best and everything is ready for you to win, it doesn't happen. So that's what happened there in Japan. Still finished third in the championship, and I think Nick Cassidy that won it had a better year than us, so he deserved it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And it's good that you say that because sometimes things, for whatever reason, some things don't, it just doesn't fall in line. I mean, we spoke on Tuesday with a guy from the British Superbike Championship, and he'd been strong all year. There were 4 guys that could win it going into the final round of 3 races, and he just said that him and another guy, they said, we just had a bad weekend, and the other 2 guys had a great weekend, and he just said that happens sometimes. So it's good to hear that you guys think that way as well. Sometimes you can't do anything about it. You do
Yeah,
your best.
that's racing and sport in general.
Yeah, exactly that. That was also the year 2019, where you had your first test, the IndyCar with Dale Coyne Racing. How did that come about? Because being out in Japan, you think it might not be the place where their radar is looking, perhaps. So, how did that come about? And obviously, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, obviously that was my dream to drive an IndyCar and to race there. So it came about just because I was driving for Honda in Super Formula in Japan. Had really good connections, obviously, and then I had connections with Team Go, which used to work with Dale Coyne before, and yeah, we made it happen. So they all agreed, and they all were happy for me to test that car for Dale Coyne, and everything went well.
Yeah, that was at Mid Ohio Raceway, which is a
Yeah,
great circuit, isn't it? It's sort of when I tune in from the UK, they don't cover all the before and the after, but you get to see some of the tracks, and that's one that always looks like a lot of fun. That and
yeah,
Road America always look great.
yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, excellent. You mentioned that it was your dream to test an IndyCar or drive an IndyCar. Growing up, was F1, or when you got up through the ranks into F3, was it F1 or IndyCar, or did you always lean one way or the other? Did you think,
Me
was it
myself
always
as a
IndyCar or was
person,
it sometimes F1?
as a driver, when you are young, I think in Europe you have to think about F1 just because that's the only thing you see and the only thing
Yeah,
you know. But I think when I before going to single seater, I knew what you need to go to F1. It's not only about what you do with your hands and how fast you can drive. So it's more about how fast you can drive, but then how much can you bring. So
yeah,
there was I needed to have a target that I could know I could achieve by myself, and the biggest target I could get was IndyCar. I think it's one of the most competitive series out there, if not the most, because we,
yeah.
we we race in road course, street course, and ovals, and the field is super tight. So yeah, I think it's a great championship.
Yeah, and that was obviously where your aim was, and you had the test with Delcoin
Yeah,
Racing. And you moved into IndyCar in 2020, which we touched on. Just something I want to touch on before we do that. Something off track. You opened your own coffee shop,
yeah,
which I sort of read about, which was fantastic. Why did you want to do that? Was it just something because you opened it with your girlfriend, if I'm correct, I'm
yes.
wrong? Um, was it just something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, I had lots of free time when I was driving. I think that was back in 2017 or 18. I had lots of free time, but not enough to study or work or do anything else. So I needed something. I didn't want to spend all my days playing video games or just sitting around. So that was something that was also great for her, so we could spend more time together,
Brilliant.
and I could learn. So it was also option B if racing was not working. So everything worked out, and it was a fun experience for us.
Yeah, excellent. And I think it's quite well known that you like your coffee, so that's good.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, fantastic. If you don't mind me asking, where is it? Because is it in Barcelona or is it in Madrid where your girlfriend is, or
It's in Girona. Yeah, it's near Barcelona.
just, I I was in Girona, 2019. I went with some friends. We went to watch some football and do that, and we went to Girona. If I'd known, I'd
Yeah,
have
it's right there.
come
Can you
along.
hear
But
me? I Can you see me, or my camera is blocked?
no, I can see you. We're all fine.
Okay, because on mine it's just blocked. So yeah,
Okay, I'm just going to try something here. Just going to go 1, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. 2. Don't know if that's worked.
not for me, but if you can see me, it's fine.
Yeah, we can see you. No problem at all.
Perfect.
But no, that's cool. If I'm ever in Girona again, because it's a beautiful town. So if I'm ever
Yeah,
in
it
Girona,
is.
I'm definitely going to look it up and come and say hi.
Yeah.
Um, IndyCar 2020. Obviously, we said it was very difficult. Yeah, sorry, someone just put in the comments that we can see. So we're fine. Um, 2020, obviously, it was very difficult. As you touched on, you'd got the drive with Dalcoin Racing. Things seem to be going well, and then the whole world shuts down, and it's very difficult. Um, when they decided that the season's going to go ahead and we're going to go racing, was it difficult to get back out to the States and to get racing with the world the way it was?
Yeah, it was not easy. It was still forbidden to travel, but there was some gray areas where you could go and quarantine in some other countries and go to the US from there, because they ban all the travel from Europe if you were not
Yeah.
an American citizen. And I
Wow.
had a visa, but I was not an American citizen. So um, yeah, it was hard. I had to spend 2 weeks in Mexico to try and make it to the first race, and I think I made it to Texas 2 or 3 days before the first race of the season. So yeah, it was not
Wow.
great, but I made it, and I think there was worse cases than mine.
Yeah, sure. But I guess from like a mental point of view, you must have thought, I'm in IndyCar, and then this comes along. Did you ever think, I can't believe this? That this isn't going to happen. I'm not going to get there. Something's going to go wrong. It's all going to go wrong. I mean, that must have come into your head.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you get one opportunity that you're so happy, and then suddenly, yeah, everything goes like even worse than what you can expect. Like if
Yeah,
you put in your mind the worst thing that can happen. You're not gonna think about the pandemic and
Of course.
and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, I guess it worked out for me, so I cannot really say bad things about
Of course,
2020.
yeah. I think at the time it was obviously very difficult, but as you say, it's worked out well, and you made it to the first race. You said you hadn't really done much testing or anything like that, and it was on an oval which you'd never driven before.
Yeah.
You came 23rd in that race, which, from what you were saying before, it feels like a bit of a victory just getting to the end of the race after the lack of preparation, perhaps.
Well, yeah, we crashed on the race, so
Mhm.
we were running okay, and then we got crashed from another driver. But I mean, it was okay. It was not as bad as I thought before going to that weekend.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. Um, Obviously, then you went to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course. You came 19th again, finish, and then uh, a podium at Road Atlanta. That weekend, did it feel like things just kind of clicked with the car? Did it feel better that weekend?
Yeah, it was the first weekend we had double race, so I got more practice and I got more track time and more races with the car and we had a good car there. So yeah, everything went well and got our first podium.
Yeah, that must have felt great after what had gone on in the early part of the year. To be standing on the podium, you must have thought, was it just relief? Was it like, oh God, yeah, I've made it on the
Yes and
podium?
no. It was too early in the season where I was like, okay, now I need to do more, just because otherwise it's just one, and actually it was only one in 2020. So it didn't really work out the way I wanted.
No, sure, sure. That first podium, though, the next race was a little race called the Indy 500. Obviously, being on the podium, it was obviously a bit of a confidence booster for you going there. Um, those of you who've tuned in will know that I love the Indy 500. I tend to kind of mention it in every chat, even if there's nothing to do with who I'm talking to. And we've spoken to a few drivers that have competed in it. Obviously, we spoke to Mario Andretti. We've spoken to like Stefan Johansson, like Willie T. Ribbs. We've spoken to Ari Leyendijk and Danny Sullivan, who have won it. J.I. Hildebrand, we all know what happened with him in 2011. They all say they absolutely love it, and it's something completely different to anything else that they've ever experienced in racing. Your first experience was last year. Would you agree with that, even though there wasn't anyone there?
Yeah, it was weird for me just because normally it's a big race because of the fans, not
Mm,
because of the race itself. I mean, it's a cool track and it's a different, it's 500 miles, so it's more an endurance than a sprint race. But still, what makes it this amazing event, it's the fans. That's why I meant before that motorsport it's cool, but without the fans it's not the same thing. And I think the Indy 500 was pretty similar. It was obviously super special for me to race there, but without fans there was something missing that this year I got to see. I didn't really get to see 100% of the people, but I think we got like 60%, and that was more than enough to get it. But yeah, the experience in 2020 was still amazing.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad you sort of said that. We spoke to Brian Herter a few weeks ago, and he said he'd raced in the 500. He'd won it in 2011 with Dan Weldon as a team manager, alongside Michael Andretti, and he just said it was the weirdest experience. He said not just in his motorsport career, but in his life. He said it was so odd being at the 500 and no one there. And did you feel a bit disappointed that there was no one there? This was the 500, and there was no one there. You're like,
I mean, for me it was okay just because I didn't have to deal with pressure or with lots of people showing up on race day and then suddenly seeing the corners much narrower than on practice. So for me it was good because I had no media. I didn't have like parades and I didn't have fans activities, which makes it really great and I enjoy a lot for sure. But for my first Indy 500, it was like a step, you know. I didn't really go from like not seeing Indy 500 to the suddenly being on the big show. It was more like a starter. So
Yeah,
for me, it was great. Obviously, I missed a lot the energy from the fans, but I didn't have to deal with that. Which yeah, it's a race, an event that you get more pressure than other events, and yeah, not having to deal with other things than only driving, it was good for the first year. Then obviously this year I needed the fans.
yeah. You want more, but that first year you kind of like sort of like eased into it. It
Yeah,
wasn't.
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, every cloud has a silver lining, as they say. You know, it's a bit
Yeah.
easier for you. So that first season, 2020. You know, were you happy with the way it went overall, given the circumstances with COVID and your first season and no real preseason? Were you happy with the way it went as that first year?
Um, it's always tough to say. I thought we had a good year because I had to learn lots of new stuff. IndyCar went from having 3 hours of practice to having 45 minutes of practice before qualifying. And I had to learn all new tracks except for Mid Ohio. So yeah, I think we started in the like 4 or 5 races, which was great. Then the
Yeah,
results were not super good, but I didn't really know how to manage the strategies in IndyCar, the fuel, the tires, and to race itself. So yeah, I was not ready to be up there. So getting the opportunity to drive for Ganassi this year made everything worth it.
yeah, absolutely. Just something that you mentioned there, and I think that's something that people don't see. You know, whether it's with IndyCar or F1 or any kind of racing. If you're new to a series and you've never raced on the majority of the tracks, to just turn up on a weekend with, as you said, 45 minutes practice, and then to go and race, and then to go and qualify and go and race and manage everything that goes on in a race. I don't think people think about that. They just see, oh, well, he qualified fourth and finished 20th. Well, he can't be any good, which is ridiculous way to, but that's the way a lot of fans think. And yeah, people don't seem to understand what goes on. It isn't just going fast and going racing. There's a lot to think about, isn't there, with tire and strategy and fuel and everything else. And in the first season, that's incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on racing. That's why I think it's a difficult sport to understand from outside, to understand what's really going on. But yeah, it's the way it is, and it's what makes it so good when everything goes right, because that means you got pit stops right, strategy right, the setup, the fuel, everything. You got it right to win a race.
Yeah, which is great. You mentioned going to 2021, which it's been quite a good year. You moved to Chip Ganassi Racing. Obviously, it's a big name in the series. Um, was there an opportunity to stay at Dow Coin Racing, or because Chip Ganassi had had expanded to 4 cars? Did you approach them, or did they come to you, or was it a bit of both? Or because
It
it's a
was
fantastic move.
It's always a bit of both, where you make the introduction, you tell them that you want to drive for them. Obviously, everybody wants to drive for Chip Ganassi. Like, come on, they won 14 championships. So, but yeah, then we just agreed, and they gave me the winning car. Like they just won the car in 2020 with Scott Dixon. So they
Yeah.
gave me the opportunity to drive for championship winning team.
Wow. You must have been so excited going into the season,
Yeah,
thinking, I've
obviously.
got this car for this team. And obviously, with the teammates that you had, which we're going to touch on shortly, wow, you must have been just itching to get going.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great off season, and even better when as soon as everything started.
Yeah. And obviously, you were looking forward to the season. Went to Barber Motorsport Park in Alabama, first race of the season. Um, it started quite well, didn't it? Yeah, you won that first race. It was your first race for the team, the first race of the season, and the first win of your career. What were your memories of that weekend? Now, does it seem a long time ago?
It seems, yeah, quite a long time ago. But yeah, obviously it was super special. My first win in IndyCar, my first race for Ganassi, and our first win together. So we started the year good, and I was super happy. But still, I wanted to end it good, not to start it good. Like that's the issue when you get the good results at the beginning, that everybody then expects you to super good, and it's tough to win a race in IndyCar. Like we saw, the maximum wins this year was 3,
Yeah.
Colton and us. So it's not easy to win races in IndyCar.
No, as you say, it's super competitive. Just very quickly, in that first race, we saw there was a big accident on the first lap. Correct if I'm wrong. I think it was Joseph Newgarden, wasn't it? I think he had
Yeah,
spun, and then everyone piled in. And there's the footage of Ryan Hunter-Ray in the Andretti Autosport DHL car, and I forget whose wheel it was, but it hit the aeroscreen right in front of him. Just want to get your thoughts on the aeroscreen and the halo and things like that. Have you driven cars with both?
yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
which do you prefer?
I
Because I think Roman Grosjean recently said he prefers the aeroscreen, but I'm just wondering what your thoughts were because it really proved that it works.
Yeah, it works. It's just a halo with the screen on top of it, which makes it safer, and I think we have to use it in IndyCar because we race novels at
Yeah,
240 miles an hour, so it's a different story than racing at 200 miles an hour, so or 160 miles an hour. So yeah, it's something that we needed. It's something that it's already saving lives, and I
yeah,
think that's a really good step forward for the series, and I think for motorsport in general. I don't think that that it's the only series that it's gonna run it in the future. I think we'll see more and more series running air screens.
yeah. I certainly hope so because I think the cars look fantastic. Not that the F1 cars don't look great because they do, but I much prefer the look of the Indy cars, certainly from a fan's point of view. And as you say, you feel it's safer. And we had an unfortunate anniversary recently. It was 10 years since Dan Weldon passed with the accident at Vegas. And I can't help but think that if we had the aeroscreen, then Dan would probably still be with us because he went in, not to go into detail, but he hit the catch fence basically head first. And yeah, so it, I think Colton had an accident, didn't he?
Yeah, he
Where
did last year.
yeah, which could have ended far worse than it did. So yeah, great. Certainly hope the aeroscreen is here to stay, and certainly it can be used in other series. I'd be a big
Yeah.
fan of that. You said it was difficult having won the first race. The next race was at St. Petersburg. It didn't quite go as well. I've always thought it was a very tough circuit, St. Petersburg, around the streets. Do you know why it wasn't quite so competitive for you in that second race?
We were not too bad, but on the last lap we got an issue, and I couldn't actually finish the race.
Hmm.
So we went from like being P12, which is not great, but it was okay, to like P17. So yeah, it was not a great track for us. But yeah, I cannot wait to go there. We start at St. Pete next season, and we're gonna do much better than that for sure.
Yeah, fantastic. Thereafter, you had a good run of results. Um, I think it was twice at Texas. There was a double header at Texas, and you ran well there. And then at the Indy Road Course, and then the 500 itself, which was good. Nice to get some momentum again going to the 500. We touched on it before. How much different was it with the fans? Was it just a completely different experience?
Yeah, it was completely different. It has it's still you drive the same truck, but it doesn't feel the same race, and yeah, it's just awesome. Seeing so many fans and the atmosphere that gets on race day and the importance that historic event has. It's just amazing to be part of it. So yeah, it was a great weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure. This might be a question for racers who have been there, yeah, more than twice or more than once with fans. Again, I mentioned we spoke to like Willie T and Mario and Danny, and I always ask them the question of, do they prepare differently? Obviously, back in their day, that it was the whole month of May, it was everything. But on race day, did you find yourself preparing differently for it, or thinking differently? Did you wake up that morning and think, "Oh my God, I'm in the 500," or was it just another race in terms of your preparation?
I mean, it's a bit different just because it's bigger. You have to wake up a lot earlier to don't hit traffic, but at the same time, there's police court. that takes you from your house or your hotel to the track. So yeah, it feels different. It's not something that you have every day, um, but yeah, at the same time, it's just a race. I mean, it's the Indy 500, but it's a race. So
Yeah,
if you start changing stuff to what you do, at least for me, I don't like to change stuff to the way I was doing at the Indy road course.
yeah,
So I would, yeah, I would prepare the same way. Obviously a bit differently because it's an oval and it's, as I said, 200 laps, 500 miles, and there's a lot going on. So you need to be ready with lots of options. But yeah, it's just a bit more work.
yeah. Just a bit more beforehand. The race itself, obviously, you had a crash in qualifying. I've asked. This is a really silly question, but I've asked it to Ari Lyondike, Danny Sullivan, and a few others. When you know you're going to hit the wall at Indy, obviously you're never far from it. You're always kind of close to it. And I still think it's mad that you guys fly past it at 220 miles an hour. Just absolutely crazy. When you know you're going to hit the wall, what goes through your mind in that split second? Because even like Mario just went, "Well, this is going to hurt," and just sat back and just let it happen. What?
It
Because I
depends.
can't get my head around it.
It if it's on qualifying, it's different. That it's if it's on the race.
Mm,
I unfortunately I crashed both ways in 2020. I crashed during the race, and it's a bit slower, and you can see it coming. So you prepare yourself, and you you know you're gonna hit. On qualifying, you're going 240 miles an hour. It's like 20 or 15 miles an hour quicker than on the
oof.
race, and you don't expect to lose the car because yeah, it's qualifying, it's new tires, it's only you on track, and everything must be perfect. But yeah, you don't expect to crash or something to go wrong, and you know you're gonna crash, but then you crash. It's not like you prepare. It's like suddenly you feel like you're gonna something goes wrong, and then suddenly you're in the wall. So yeah, it hurts. It hurts a lot.
Oh, I'm sure it does because that was a big hit this year in
Yeah.
qualifying. But yeah, it was obviously great that you were able to come away from it and and get back in the car and the race itself. I think I've mentioned before I was supposed to be there this year for my 40th birthday. I was going to go out to the 500, but obviously we didn't want to risk it with the way the world is.
Yeah.
And I actually said, I hope someone that I don't want to win wins it because I should have been there. And I said three guys that I'd like to win. One was Alex Palou, one was Colton Herta, and the other was Helio Castroneves. And you were all
Oh,
running right at the front. There was a tiny part
yeah.
of me was thinking, no.
Yeah, we were
But
all
obviously,
running.
with the way race went, you qualified well. You were running strongly the whole way through. When it came down to the last few laps, it was basically down between you and Mr. Castroneves. Obviously, Helio's got a bit of history with the 500. When you're in with a shout of winning the Indy 500, does it go through your mind that I could win the Indy 500 here? Or is it a case of I just want to win this race?
Um, well, yeah, you know, it's a more important race. It's the most important race of your life. So I think after the last pit stop, obviously, you know, you make it on fuel, you make it on tires, you don't have to pit again, and that they just up to you. So you have your car, and this is what goes to the finish line. So at that point, you know, you're gonna fight for it. I was running P1 at that moment after
Mm,
last pit stop, so I was like, okay, great, let's see who we fighting with. I think before the pit stop, I was fighting with Pato Howard, and I said, yeah, it's same experience, right? So let's see who wins. But when I saw Elio, I was like, oh, yeah, maybe he has a bit more than
it's
me,
like,
and it's
of all
like
the
it's gonna
guys.
be tough. Yeah. So I think it was like 20 laps to the end, and I was like, man, I don't know how to do it, but yeah, we tried. I tried the best I could, and it didn't really work, but we'll be back.
Yeah, and and like finishing second to Helio Castroneves in the Indy 500.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
there's no shame in that. I think it was it Pato and I think it was Takuma Sato were running up there, and I think they both, when there was a yellow, they stayed out. Otherwise, I think the rest of the guys couldn't
Sato,
fuel.
yeah, Pato,
I
no,
think
Pato finished fourth, but
it's Pato.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was Sato, and I don't remember who else.
yeah, there was another, but the strategy thing. So obviously they had to go in with 10 to go for fuel, and then
Yeah.
it was the shootout. But No, I mean it was it was fantastic to watch. It was great to see the fans and everything. And obviously you were happy. Obviously you'd have loved to have won the race, of course, but
Yeah.
you were happy with second,
Yeah, obviously. I
or as
was
happy as you can be.
the second happiest person in the world. So obviously not as happy as Elio, but after Elio was me.
Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. And again, I get the Indy 500 in every single time I have a chat with someone, and we've got tickets for next year, so I'm going to be there. So
Gonna be
yeah,
a blast. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. We're booking flights anyway. So moving on. You had that that good run of records, one of which was at the Indy 500. You had a win at Road America, which I think I mentioned before. It's a fantastic circuit. We spoke to Mark Blundell, who had raced years and years ago. He said it was his favourite circuit. We've got Emily Linscott, who's a young racer from the UK. She's in the USF4 Championship. She really likes it. And you've won there. Is it a circuit that kind of suits you and your style, or is it just on the day it just went really well?
I mean, we were running up front. It was a great track. I think we were super strong all road courses this year. We finished it all in like top fours, but one race in Indy road course where we had a mechanical failure. But yeah, we are strong in road courses, and we were running up there. I was gonna finish second, I think, on that race, fighting with Joseph, but he had a
Yeah,
mechanical failure that race,
that's right.
and we were there to take the advantage of it. So.
Yeah, which is if you can't be running out front, it's the best place to be, just in case anything happens. And obviously, you guys did.
Exactly.
And that was a vital win, second win of the season. One thing I want to move on to was the race at Nashville, because it was all over the news. I think it was, apart from the Indy 500, it had the most interest of any race on the calendar, around the streets, Music City, and all that, and over the bridge, which was great for the photographers and everything. That was just a crazy race, wasn't it? I mean, was it your teammate Marcus Ericsson obviously won it, but he had gone up over the back of Sebastian Bourdais and he pitted 7 times and won the race. I mean, what what was going? Do you know you're in the middle of an absolutely crazy race when
Yeah,
you're in the middle
because
of
we
one?
had like 2 red flags, 5 or 6 yellows. So yeah, obviously we all knew we were on a crazy race.
I mean, it was just one of those races where like, literally anything could happen, and it did. It was just, absolutely mad. But
Yeah,
it was great to see Marcus win it, because obviously he was XF1. He's well known over here in Europe, and it's great to see the European guys doing so well. But yeah, what a mad race! I'm looking forward
it
to next year.
was.
um, Moving on through the season, you had a couple of results that weren't obviously as good as you wanted at the Indianapolis road course again, and at Gateway, obviously you retired in one and didn't get. That was getting to the real business end of the season. Were you concerned after those 2 races that this might be slipping away from you? Because I think I can remember the commentators were just going mad when you retired, and they, oh, this is huge. It's blown the championship wide open. Did you think like that
Well, we
in the middle
lost
of it?
35 points in the road course, and we lost 20 points at Gateway. So yeah, 40, 50 points we lost in 2
Mm,
races. So yeah, it was huge for the championship. But yeah, there was nothing I could have done differently, or the team could have done differently. So yeah, I was still second in the championship. I was still fighting for it, and that's what we did.
yeah, and then you took the win at Portland, obviously, which put you back on top of things. Um, Obviously, there was a few races in between, but I want to come to the season closer at Long Beach. Now, I mentioned that we spoke to Brian Herter between Laguna Seca and Long Beach, and he was saying that Colton had just won at Laguna Seca, and he really, really wanted the win at Long Beach. But he said people aren't going to be bothered who wins unless it's Pato, because obviously that would make it close in the championship. What was your mindset going to Long Beach? Because you had quite a big lead. I think you had to finish, was it 10th or 12th or something
Yeah,
like
12.
that.
Um,
12.
Yeah, it
Did you
was a
just think, let's just go
big
there and just
race. Yeah, big race for me. First time I was obviously fighting for an IndyCar Championship, which was huge. But yeah, we had a good lead, but it was not enough to win it already. So we had to
yeah,
finish the race. We had to finish 12th, which is not easy in IndyCar.
no,
And I was starting 10th on a street course where normally things can go wrong or sideways super easy. But yeah, we had a good race. We finished at fourth, and we won the championship.
yeah, amazing. I remember just in qualifying, I just want to go back to it. There was a bit of a issue. I can't remember if I'm wrong. Was it with Will Power? I think did he pull off at the end of the 12? Or was
Yep.
it Scott? I think it was Will, wasn't it? And
Yep.
you weren't sure if the lap time was going to count, and they, you were on the pit wall, and they were saying, but you just seemed quite calm. You were like, yeah, I don't think I'm in the top 9. So had you already thought, right, I'm starting 10th,
Yeah,
or
obviously,
whatever?
that's where timesheet was pointing at. But yeah, we couldn't really finish our qualifying because of that yellow flag. But yeah, it was racing, part of racing. So yeah, I
Yeah.
knew I had a strong car for the race.
Yeah, it is what it is. And you said it. You had to finish 12th. You said it's not easy. I mean, we saw a lot of cars in qualifying. I think Colton grazed the wall in qualifying. There was a right-hander and he hit the wall, and I think Romain Grosjean did it as well. And Jack Harvey slammed it into the wall, and Will Power hit him. And I think that just outlined how difficult it was going to be. Yeah, I think everyone thought, oh, he can finish 12th, no problem. But it's never that easy because you get a corner like that on a circuit like that. But
Yeah.
was there anything at that corner that was particularly? Was there a bump or something? Or because there seemed to be like a lot of people seem to be struggling there.
Well, it was like a medium high speed corner, and on a street course, that's where you get the time. So everybody was pushing it to the limit, and yeah, the limit is not far.
Yeah, that's what happened. Um, Obviously, early on in the race, as like Pato was hit from behind and turned round, you were in. You were right there
Yep.
with the incident. Was it Ed Jones? I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, we got into the back of him and turned him round, and you just hit the front wing. Were you concerned at that point, or did the car instantly feel okay? Or were you?
It was a hit, but it was not super hard, and I know Indy cars are super strong, so I was not too worried. I would be worried with another car, but with an Indy car, you
Yeah,
can do that.
you'd be fine. And obviously you ran well. Obviously Pato had to finish ahead of you, and you had to go. Well, that when you heard that Pato had retired, I think he had some damage and he retired from it later on, didn't he? I think because Joseph Newgarden was still in with a chance, but you had to finish way back. When did you start to really believe you think, okay, I could be champion in just a few laps? Was it a few laps from the end, or did you ever allow yourself to think like
No,
that?
never. Just because I think at that point Newgarden was still running P1, and yeah,
Yeah,
if he won, I was gonna have to finish P20 or something like that. But still,
mm,
you have to finish, and
yeah,
it just takes a bad braking zone to not finish on a street course. So yeah, nothing until the checkered flag.
yeah. Excellent. We like that. And then the checkered flag, you cross the line, you're the champion. We heard on the radio, it's like you're IndyCar champion and stuff. What was your initial reaction? Was it relief, or did you just shout or scream or punch the air, or what when you realized you were the IndyCar champion in just your second season?
Yeah, just scream. That's the only thing you can think about. So just scream and say thank you to the partners and everybody that is on your side on the pit and on the team. So yeah, that's the only thing you can think about.
Yeah, that must have been just the best feeling. I mean, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And we just love the radio communication where you said, "Oh, yeah, like, do you like donuts?"
Yeah.
As soon as you said that, I was watching it with a couple of friends of mine. We'd got together to watch it, and as soon as you said, "Do you like donuts?" We all just went, "Oh yeah!"
Let's do it. Yeah.
Because we knew what was coming. Oh,
I
that was
mean everybody
fantastic.
wants to do that. So yeah,
Yeah,
I was not gonna avoid doing donuts on that race.
yeah, that's the best way to celebrate. Don't let
Yeah.
anyone say any different. Love some
Exactly.
donuts. And then the podium presentation, obviously, it was fantastic. We had like Mr. Ganassi was up there himself, speaking obviously very highly of you and the whole team. And huge trophy and the ring. I mean, again, did you ever allow yourself to think, this is me doing this? I'm the champion, and this is all for me, the trophy and everything. Oh, not just for you, it's for the team as well. But um, I mean, do you remember what was going through your mind, or was it just yes?
Yeah, I don't think I remember what was. I was obviously super happy and talking
Yeah,
to lots of people from the team and just screaming with them. But yeah, I don't think I really realized until 1 or 2 days later.
yeah, fantastic. But I bet the chicken tasted good, though, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I did for sure.
Yeah, we saw the pictures. The chicken tasted good. No, fantastic, and obviously huge congratulations.
Thank
It
you.
was great to see. Great to see a European win it. Obviously, you've got time on your side. Is IndyCar the immediate future, or are you looking to maybe
Yeah,
F1 further down the line? Or
100% IndyCar.
yeah, IndyCar. I mean, I saw something recently where you said you wouldn't want to go to F1 if you weren't going to be competitive, and obviously that's that's going to be very difficult with the way F1 is at the moment. I think Colton has had. Is it going to happen? Is it not? Personally, I think I'd rather see likes of you and Colton and all the like Pato and all the other guys being competitive at the front rather than running around at the back at F1. And I guess you'd agree.
Yeah, I don't know what they are gonna do, but I know what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna be happy doing it.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great to hear. Just a few words on Colton. Obviously, he won those last two races. Yeah, he's really come on this year, and I think again along with you and Pato and a few others, you're seen as like the golden future of IndyCar. Just a few words on Colton. He's quick.
Yeah, obviously he's quick. I mean, he's not that he's quick this year. It's his third year in IndyCar, and he won races in 3 years, so that's never easy to do. He's the youngest IndyCar winner, and
Yeah,
I don't think that there's gonna be. Well, maybe yeah, maybe there's gonna be one day where 14-year-old guys go to IndyCar and they win races, but um, yeah, not sometime soon, I think, and
yeah,
he's great. It's gonna be tough to be up there, always in front of him.
yeah. And he's won more races than his dad, which his
Oh,
dad actually said. So yeah, which his dad's quite pleased about because he said, "Yeah, I'd be disappointed if he didn't win more than I did." Someone's just commented. Andrew Edwards. He's just said that Alex's championship win is the highlight of the year for me. So there you
that's
go.
cool. Thank you.
He's obviously happy with that. Very quickly, just go back to the Indy 500. Many people gauge, well, many fans, I suppose, gauge someone's career by have they won the Indy 500. The prime example being like not Mario, being Michael Andretti, one of the very best IndyCar drivers there's ever been. I think fourth in the list of wins in history. Team owner, immensely successful. He's won all these races and he's led loads of laps at the 500. But everyone always says he never won the Indy 500, which everyone remembers the Indy 500 winner. Obviously, you'd love to win the Indy 500. Of course, you would. But I guess some people think, some people see Michael Andretti as his career wasn't quite complete because he didn't win the 500. If that day came and you hadn't won it, say 20 years down the line, would you think that, or would you think, well, I'm an IndyCar champion, I've won races, I've done well. Which way do you look at it? Is the 500 something that you have to achieve?
I mean, it depends. If it takes me 20 years and I cannot win it, yeah, then maybe it's a failure. But um, yeah, as long as I'm still there and fighting for it, I'll be happy being an IndyCar champion. I think it takes more um, good things to work on a championship than
Yeah,
during the Indy 500. So Indy 500, it's only 200 laps. That's it. Yeah, maybe you're the best in 200 laps, but the championship altogether, I don't know how many laps it is, but it's a bit more than
thousands.
that. But yeah, still, it's I won an Indy. I need to win an Indy 500. That's something I need to do. And that's on the list now. Like I already
Yeah,
had one championship. I'll try and get the second one, but still, the priority now is to get an Indy 500.
Cool. No, cool. I mean, if you can do it next year, that'd be great because then I could be there to.
I'll do my best to do that. Yeah.
That's the thing, you've got like Ari Luyendyk. He only won 7 IndyCar races, but 2 of them were the 500, and he's known as the 500 winner. But no one could say he had a more successful career than Michael Andretti. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Nothing against Ari. We love Ari. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
Just going to wind down very quickly. Again, it's been a long day for you. Don't want to take too much of your time, and appreciate you speaking to us. But just like motorsport in general, do you follow any other series really closely? F1 or NASCAR or
NASCAR.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been just
So you
because
went to your first race, didn't you? I think recently.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but yeah, I've been watching NASCAR just because we have a team there with Ganassi, and yeah, I know the guys and I cheer for them. I think it's a good series.
Yeah, it's that's crazy. I've just watched the Daytona, and it's just
Yeah, it's
unbelievable. That and the Indy 500 are just 2 unbelievable races.
Yeah.
No, amazing. Would you like to give NASCAR a try one day?
To test a car. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to try every single car on this earth, but to race, I think it's a bit too different to what I'm used to.
Yeah, fair enough. And that actually leads me on to my next little mention. Someone who's done quite well in NASCAR is your teammate. Your teammate Jimmy Johnson. He's multiple champion, and he said it's very different style of racing. And I wouldn't say struggled in IndyCar, but it was a completely different kind of racing. Just wanted to get a few words on your teammates. Obviously, you've got three great guys on your side. You've got Jimmy Johnson, Marcus Ericsson, and Scott Dixon. I guess you guys all get on, and they're good guys.
Yeah, obviously, for me, it's super special to share teams with such big legends like Jimmy and Scott and Dario, TK, and Marcus. But yeah, we're all good friends. We all try to help each other. Obviously, I get more from them than what I can give to them. But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I forgot, of course. Yeah, like Tony Kanaan, what a legend. Great guy.
Yeah.
Just a quick one. Your countryman Fernando Alonso. Would you like to see him back at the Indy 500, win it?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
That'd be great. Wouldn't that be good? Alex Palou and Fernando Alonso fighting it.
Yeah,
for the 500.
would be great to fight with him during the 500. So yeah, I think would be pretty special.
Yeah, brilliant. I saw a question pop up earlier on. Just one second. I'm going to scroll up. The question was, how was? That's it from a guy called Billy Edgerton. Hi, Billy. Thank you for tuning in. It says, what's been the reaction in Spain to your IndyCar, like championship victory? Because obviously we know IndyCar's not as big in Europe. What's been the reaction like?
Yeah, it's been great. I think once we won the championship, more media and more people got to know IndyCar, and I think they did the best they could. And obviously, it's not something that it's gonna turn from one day to the other, where everybody knows about IndyCar, but it's growing, and I think winning the championship, helped more media get involved into that, and it was great.
Yeah, excellent. Right, final few questions, just some fun ones before we let you go and get some well-earned sleep. The best car you've ever driven on track?
On a track, IndyCar or Super Formula. I think as a car itself, Super Formula, it's more of a well done car, let's say, but then IndyCar, it's more realistic to drive, no power steering, and you feel a better driver driving it.
Yeah, cool, excellent. Is there one car you'd love to drive on a track, whether it's a single seater or like an IMSA car or anything? Is there anything out there you think, I'd like to have
I
a
would love to
background in
drive
that?
Daytona with a DPI. I think those cars look great, but I would love also to try a NASCAR car on a road course just to see how it handles. Yeah, would be great.
Yeah, cool. Obviously, you've got some amazing competitors on the IndyCar grid, and the whole field's very, very strong. Are there any guys that you particularly like that you look up to on the grid for whatever reason, whether it's what they've won? I mean, I know a lot of drivers have got a lot of respect for Romain Grosjean coming back from that awful accident that he had, and to come back and just embrace it and be loved by everyone. And Is there anyone that on the grid that you think, yeah, he's a heck of a guy?
Dixon for sure. Dixon
Yeah,
and Jimmy, they are the two guys I look out for.
yeah, multiple champions, of course.
Yeah,
Final one, the hardest competitor you've ever raced against in any series, the toughest, the
Dixon.
guy, was it Scott?
Yeah, 100%, no
Yeah,
doubt about it.
yeah, amazing racer, amazing
Yep,
racer. Right, right. As I've said before, it's been a very long day for you. Really appreciate you coming on and having a chat. But we're going to let you go and relax and see the family and have some sleep. But just
okay,
a couple of nice things to end on. You're the first Spaniard to win in the GP3 series, and of course, the first Spanish racing driver to win a national championship in open wheel racing. That's
that's
got to
cool.
feel pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, that feels pretty cool. Yeah,
Excellent, excellent. Great to hear. Right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We're going to end it there. Thank you for all the questions. And of course, thank you to you, Alex, for your time. It's been
my
absolutely
pleasure.
brilliant speaking with you. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll keep in touch. See ya.
Great stuff. Will do.